Alexander's story is a story about an ambitious living jar hoping to become one of the greatest warriors the Lands Between has ever seen. In this video, we'll be analyzing the psychology of Alexander by discussing the events that transpire in his quest and how he reacts to them. The main aspects of his character seem to be resilience, confidence, and a yearn for grand achievement. Before we start, I just wanted to mention that if you end up enjoying the video, feel free to like and subscribe. If there's anything you'd like to discuss about the video, feel free to leave a comment too. Resilience is a key part of Alexander because he had to withstand so many challenges throughout his journey on achieving his goal to become one of the greatest warriors ever. The first challenge we see him run into, literally, is when he's stuck in a hole. This happens not once, but twice throughout his journey, and it's up to the Tarnished to help him out. His next test comes when he decides to take part in the Radon Festival and tries to find glory in taking him down. He ends up actually getting injured in this fight, not only physically, but mentally as well. His body was cracked in the fight against Radon, and he decided to hide. He calls himself a coward for doing so, showing he's having this mental tug of war about his values and how he behaved during the fight.
Ah, hello there. It was a battle marvelously fought. You are well and truly a champion, friend. I, on the other hand, am nothing but a crock. One hit was all it took to crack me, and for my insides to come spilling out. After that, I hid like a coward, and as such, I can hardly stand to face one such as you.
Notice how he explains that he won't give up though, and that he'll strengthen up by consuming the remains of late warriors. He even tells you that he believes he'll be stronger the next time you see him, which shows just how resilient he can be in one of the lowest moments we see him. Sometimes when we're faced with adversity or our resilience is tested, a normal response would be to either run or hide. Does it make us a coward? It'll depend on who you ask, but it's all perspective. Sure, to Alexander, he himself is nothing but a crock and a coward, but to me, he lived to fight another day and learned more about himself from that experience. Later on, we can find him sitting in a pool of lava in Mount Gelmir to temper his body in order to try to make it unbreakable. That sounds like some David Goggins level of resilience and dedication to become stronger. He even describes the pool of lava as lukewarm. This guy's crazy. Later on, we find him in the mountaintop of the giants because he's trying to use the flame of ruin since the lava from Mount Gelmir wasn't hot enough. Crazy. He helps the Tarnished fight the fire giant, which keeps the theme of resilience going because he's taking on whatever challenge he can. It isn't until he reaches crumbling Firm Missoula where his resilience comes to an end, and sadly it's by us. Even in the end, however, he's still able to speak and deliver his final words. In his last words, he calls himself the Great Alexander, and that he lived as a warrior to his last with a chuckle. Fair to say he was confident till the end, huh? The confidence that Alexander displays throughout his quest is essential because without it, I don't think he would have ever left Jarburg to begin with. He left his home with the internal promise to never return to achieve his goal of becoming a great warrior. That takes massive amounts of confidence. Think about something you've been confident about. Maybe it's your ability to pass a test, compose yourself during an interview, start a business, asking someone out, or chucking up a game-winning 3. You get the picture. It's placing that bet on yourself, which a lot of people struggle with thanks to a little emotion called anxiety, which makes us doubt ourselves at times. Alexander maintained the confidence in himself to become a great warrior throughout his whole journey, but really got tested in the fight against Radon. He called himself a crock and a coward, which we already established isn't objectively true, but that's how he viewed himself in that moment. He did recover greatly though, as he didn't hang on to those negative thoughts for long. When we meet Alexander in crumbling Firm Missoula, he says something that could be taken as having a lack of confidence, or maybe it's just him being realistic.
But that aside, I can't believe you felled that giant. It was practically a god. I doubt there's another soul out there who could have done the same. Of course, I count myself the great Alexander among many, which means I've but one thing to ask of you. Would you kindly undertake my ordeal? Come and tell me when you're ready. I've been longing to fight a warrior as accomplished as you.
We see him express confidence in himself one more time with his final words, mentioning that the great Alexander lived as a warrior to his last, and chuckles right before passing. Overall, it takes a lot of confidence to not only continue to tell yourself you will achieve a monumental goal and believe it, but also taking that first step on the journey to begin with. Speaking of achieving his goal, let's talk about. Depending on your perspective, Alexander either achieved his goal or he didn't. He mentions in the Gale or Jail, I'm not sure, tunnel, that he hopes to be the greatest champion of them all.
I was created to be a warrior vessel. Many great warriors reside within me, ever dreaming of becoming a great champion. It's my destiny, and the reason for which I quest. It is my ordeal, you could say. To test myself, to better myself, to fell ever greater foes. And then, one day, we'll be a single great champion. The greatest of them all. What do you think, eh? How do you rate my chances?
He only mentions becoming the greatest warrior that one time, but for the most part just mentions becoming a mighty warrior or one of the greatest. That all being said, I think he achieved his goal, and in his last moments, you can tell he was content even though he was dying. It might have to do with him losing to the most powerful being in the Lands Between, and allowing him the duel as a test of his power was enough to reach his goal. Achievement is important to him because that's all he really wanted. His quest was his own, unlike Blythe's, where he's serving someone else's ambition. Usually the ambition presented by other characters in Elden Ring is extremely selfish and puts others down, but Alexander's was just to prove that he was one of the strongest warriors. It kind of reminds me of Goku and his never-ending search for a formidable opponent. Each time we fight an Alexander, even when he's stuck in holes, he's happy because he's achieving his dream. So even though Alexander's quest ends as arguably the saddest one in the whole game, there's still positives to take from his story and what make him tick. His resilience to continue pursuing his goals, feeling the sense of achievement the closer you get, while maintaining the confidence to do so is something we all want in our journey through life. Think about when you graduated high school, when you got your first job, graduated college, got into a relationship, won a game, won a competition, whatever it is. Your ability to reach the achievement you want starts at having the confidence to put yourself out there and test your ability while staying resilient whenever you're dealt with adversity. Even if we're at our end, it's important to remember the good we've done for ourselves and focus on what we've achieved and what we leave behind. If you made it this far in the video, I just wanted to say thank you so much for tuning in. Again, feel free to leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and let me know what you think about Alexander's story and other psychological aspects of his character in the comments. See ya!
But the great Alexander lived as a warrior to his last.